Hey guys, welcome back to the Allegheny Crossing YouTube channel. I hope you all are having a great week, and I really appreciate you taking a few minutes to hang out with me today. So in today's video, I'm going to take you back a couple months to this past summer when I took a trip to Western Pennsylvania. This seems like it's becoming an annual tradition for me to do rail fanning when I'm in Western Pennsylvania every summer. And of course, I had to make it over to the world famous Horseshoe Curve. That's almost a must when I'm up in that area. This year was no different. I went over there on a Sunday, spent several hours there, and got to see several trains running through the curve. I will say this year was a little bit slower than I've seen in the past. Some of the intervals between trains were about an hour, hour and a half, which is a little bit longer than what I've been used to in the past. Typically trains come anywhere from about every 20 minutes to a half hour, but there can be gaps in between that are longer, upwards of an hour and a half at some points in time. But while I was there, I saw many trains come through the curve, some mostly intermodal trains. I saw a couple of empty coal drag trains, and I believe I saw a mixed freight or two and some helper sets going past. But several intermodal trains was kind of the main feature for the day that I was at Horseshoe Curve. Now, for those of you that may not be aware of what Horseshoe Curve is, it is an engineering marvel, world famous engineering marvel that is located on the Norfolk and Southern Pittsburgh line between Johnstown, Pennsylvania and Altoona, Pennsylvania. It is the 3-track main line for Norfolk Southern. Used to be 4 tracks when that was the Pennsylvania Railroad and Conrail, but they removed one of the tracks and now it's only 3 tracks. But it truly is an engineering marvel because the curve, the tracks wrap around the mountain and the grade increases instead of going directly over the mountain in the valley where the grade would be too steep for trains to cross. So when you're at the visitor center there at the top of Horseshoe Curve, you literally can have trains wrapping around you as they're either going up or down the mountain. It's really a spectacular sight, and I just would encourage all of you, if you've never been there, if you have the opportunity, it's definitely worth checking out, especially when the weather is nice. Now, I want to also encourage you, if you haven't checked out some of my other videos related to the Norfolk Southern Pittsburgh line, I have a few, and I would encourage you to check them out. One, I did a whole rail tour of the entire Norfolk Southern Pittsburgh line from Altoona to the Cassandra Railroad Overlook, stopping at several places in between in downtown Altoona, Horseshoe Curve, Gallitzin, Crescent, and the Cassandra Railroad Overlook. That gives you just kind of a nice overview of all the railfan spots along this section of the Norfolk Southern Pittsburgh line. I also, this past summer, attended the Cassandra Railroad Overlook all-nighter, and I just posted a video on that. That was a neat time where a group of people bring lights in and light up the Cassandra Railroad Overlook for a 24-hour period from about 12 noon to 12 noon the next day, and they invite people to come out and stand or sit on either side of the tracks where you can get great views of the trains passing by. This is obviously something you only get to see lit up at this time of year, at this night event, so it is a fun time and I really enjoyed that. Also, I have several other videos of my trips to Horseshoe Curve in previous years where I've seen a lot more train action. So I hope you'll go and check out all my Norfolk Southern Pittsburgh train videos, and I hope you enjoy this one as well as all the others. That's all I have for today. Thanks again for hanging out with me. If you like what I'm doing, I'd ask that you'd please like and subscribe to my channel, and please comment. I'd love to hear your experiences with rail fanning, either in the Norfolk Southern Pittsburgh line or wherever you like to rail fan, or also your experiences with model railroading. As you can see, I'm down here in the train room. I am also an avid O-gauge model railroader, and I'm going to be doing some videos here in the future related to my O-gauge model layout. So hope you enjoy, and we'll see you next time.